Today we've released a declassified oversight majority staff report that was produced in September of 2020. The stunning revelations that we are releasing today should be of concern to every American. This is not about Democrats or Republicans. This has to do with the integrity of our democratic republic and American voters having faith that the votes cast will count. There is irrefutable evidence that detail how President Obama and his national security team directed the creation of an intelligence community assessment that they knew.
Exposing a political sacred cow instantly makes the atmosphere tense. Tulsi Gabbard's role goes beyond simply commenting on Barack Obama. She puts him through a fast-moving scrutiny, spinning his actions under a relentless lens. This roast cuts deep because it reveals the contradictions, hypocrisies, and carefully constructed falsehoods behind his image. Its impact isn't from cheap jabs or minor complaints, but from the unflinching truth it uncovers. Tulsi has placed the once untouchable figure under a storm of criticism with no way to escape.
It's the art of deflection coming from former President Obama, as well as his friends who are still in Congress today, and Senator Warner and Congressman Jim Himes, really all basically saying that exact same statement, which doesn't actually address the issue that was revealed in great detail in the over 100 documents that we released last week, in the documents that we will be releasing later this week, that point to the undeniable fact that you laid out in your introduction.
Obama's carefully crafted image was built on illusion. He appeared as the perfect candidate, polished and media-ready, promising reform, hope, and unity. But behind that image was a Democratic Party more focused on cocktail parties than the realities facing the working class, alongside widespread drone strikes and surveillance. Tulsi sees through the halo effect, recognizing that it was funded by Hollywood donors and Silicon Valley hype. She isn't intimidated by it. Instead, she exposes a clever salesman who sold the nation a product that failed the moment it left the showroom, rather than the visionary leader he claimed to be.
They knew it would promote this contrived narrative that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help President Trump win, selling it to the American people as though it were true. It wasn't. The report that we released today shows in great detail how they carried this out. They manufactured findings from shoddy sources. They suppressed evidence and credible intelligence that disproved their false claims.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click the bell and subscribe to the channel. Now consider Russiagate. While Obama may not have been the daily face of CNN's obsession with alleged conspiracies, his administration laid the groundwork for intelligence overreach, creeping surveillance, and the political weaponization of government agencies. According to Tulsi, this approach didn't succeed in removing Donald Trump. Instead, it backfired so severely that the Democratic Party now seems trapped in a cycle of conspiracy-driven thinking. Obama was supposed to be the wise leader overseeing everything, yet his fingerprints are clearly present among the same falsehoods and omissions that made Russiagate a national scandal.
So this is the thing that I think people should pay attention to, is neither the message from President Obama's office, neither the statements coming from Democrats in Congress today and their friends in the propaganda media. None of them are addressing this fact that there was a shift, a 180-degree shift from the intelligence community's assessment leading up to the election to the one that President Obama directed be produced after Donald Trump won the election, that completely contradicted those assessments.
The irony is striking. Obama presented himself as the young senator who opposed Bush's invasion of Iraq and as the anti-war candidate. Yet once in office, he became a global interventionist, with Libya standing out as his signature disaster. Anti-interventionism has been central to Tulsi's career, and she dismantles his record like a mechanic taking apart an engine. NATO's involvement under Obama did not transform Libya into a beacon of freedom. Instead, it became a failing state where chaos and exploitation flourished. Obama receded into the background as the geopolitical missteps piled up, so glaring that even Hillary Clinton tried to shift the blame. Tulsi exposes the reality. The crisis was rebranded, outsourced, and dressed up with glossy press releases by the very man who claimed to be the solution to endless conflict.
Evidence that we have found and that we have released directly point to President Obama leading the manufacturing of this intelligence assessment. There are multiple pieces of evidence and intelligence that confirm that fact. The implications of this are far-reaching and have to do with the integrity of our democratic republic. It has to do with an outgoing president taking action to manufacture intelligence, to undermine and usurp the will of the American people. In that,
Obama continues to receive near unquestioned respect in the media, which is almost comical, suggests that his presidency favored Silicon Valley and Wall Street over everyday Americans, and journalists act as if they've just been scandalized.
they're using the same old tactic that the deep state's propaganda arm in the media uses. Whenever they come across something that is true and that doesn't go along with whatever their narrative is that they're trying to shove down the throats of the American people, they first usually ignore it, as they did when I first released these documents a couple of weeks ago. They tried to ignore it. When they realized that they weren't going to get away with this, that this story was going to continue breathing life, we continued releasing new documents, then they decided, oh, we'll take this approach of say, oh, this is nothing. There's nothing really to see here. This is bizarre. This is a conspiracy. These are the things that they...
For Tulsi, the media's narrative doesn't matter. She points out that the same bankers who triggered the 2008 financial crisis went unpunished under Obama. They were rewarded instead. The working class, which was meant to be the heart of his promise for change and hope, faced opioid epidemics and long unemployment lines. Silicon Valley elites, cheered on by Obama's regulatory handouts, grew into a tech oligarchy that now suppresses alternative viewpoints, including Tulsi's. What stings most is Tulsi's critique of Obama on civil rights. Under the guise of constitutional oversight, he expanded the NSA's power to spy on Americans and built up the surveillance state. As a war veteran, Tulsi argues that Obama violated the values he claimed to uphold while misleading the public. Then there's Russiagate, a cycle that keeps circling back. In his final years, Obama oversaw intelligence agencies investigating unproven claims about Trump's supposed ties to Russia.
There is irrefutable evidence that detail how President Obama and his national security team directed the creation of an intelligence community assessment that they knew was false. They knew it would promote this contrived narrative that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help President Trump win, selling it to the American people as though it were...
Years later, the whole affair spiraled into a frenzy of conspiracy theories with no evidence of wrongdoing, wasting taxpayer money, and embarrassing the Democratic Party. Tulsi doesn't hold back. Since Obama planted, nurtured, and oversaw the seeds of this chaos, his legacy is inseparably tied to the disaster. The weed grower is still tripping up the party. Tulsi recognizes that Obama's greatest skill was creating illusions. He could navigate scandals with a smile and a well-timed Netflix deal, while the economy struggled and wages stagnated. Blame always landed elsewhere. Republicans, the media, someone, but Obama would just grin, relax, and let the myth machine do its work. Tulsi doesn't buy it. She sees a man who relied on marketing to build his reputation rather than tangible accomplishments. Her cultural honesty is her sharpest weapon. Obama presented himself as the perfect bridge between young and old, black and white, red and blue. But Tulsi cuts through the myth to reveal the reality beneath the carefully crafted image.
The second thing I want to address that's very important, Laura, is that you in the clip that you played, you saw John Brennan, James Clapper, James Comey stated with high confidence this January intelligence community assessment that they drafted at the direction of President Obama. The fact is that they used already discredited information like the Steele dossier. They knew it was discredited at that time, yet they used it as a source for this document that they claim to have high confidence in. They used intelligence that some of these intelligence community professionals rejected previously because of the lack of credibility and the lack of the ability to vet with any...
Tulsi points out that during Obama's time in office, racial tensions grew, America became more divided, and the Democratic Party turned into a closed club where identity politics often overshadowed the needs of working class Americans. She has no patience for theatrical politics that hurt the majority while elites sip champagne on Martha's Vineyard. To her, Obama became the symbol of neoliberal elitism. Then there's the obsession with legacy. Obama's speeches, foundations, books, and history-shaping efforts can't replace real impact. True legacy is measured by how it affects people's lives. The harsh reality includes drone strikes that killed civilians, a Democratic Party that became an echo chamber for coastal elites, and whistleblowers punished for exposing government wrongdoing. Obama left no meaningful reform or hope, only delusion and collateral damage. Tulsi also criticizes him for failing to challenge the powerful figures within his own party. 8 years passed in which he could have transformed the DNC from a playground for insiders into a venue for real democracy. Instead, he left it corrupted, hollow, and weakened. A flawed party machinery contributed to Trump's victory in 2016. Tulsi reminds everyone that Obama's leadership outside academic lounges and news studios has proven insufficient to inspire meaningful change.
If not, go to odni.gov, It's all right there for anyone to see. And those who go in and read this will see how President Obama directed that a National Security Council meeting be called to talk about Russia, that the report that came out of that meeting was filled with tasks that were delivered by James Clapper's assistant to John Brennan and to other elements of the intelligence community. John Brennan was the head of the CIA at the time, all saying per the president's direction, per the president's order. And very specifically, they were tasked to create an intelligence assessment that detailed how Moscow tried to influence the election, not if.
This is why Tulsi's critique of Obama is so sharp. It comes from a commitment to truth and lived experience, not personal animosity. She sees Obama as the operator, the man who perfected political branding while failing the very people who trusted him, and cannot tolerate the illusion that he saved the day. Many Democratic elites cling to the idea that he is untouchable, since admitting his shortcomings would mean acknowledging their own role. Tulsi, however, is unflinching. She speaks with the authority of someone who has served in the military, witnessed the consequences of political games, and seen the real cost Americans pay when leaders pretend to be heroes abroad while avoiding responsibility at home. There's no entertainment in her critique. Beneath the polished image, she exposes a rotting foundation. Though Obama claimed to oppose the establishment's failings, he often made them worse instead of delivering the change he promised. Tulsi doesn't need to proclaim this. She shows it line by line, policy by policy, scandal by scandal.
It wasn't. The report that we released today shows in great detail how they carried this out. They manufactured findings from shoddy sources. They suppressed evidence and credible intelligence that disproved their false claims. They disobeyed traditional tradecraft intelligence community standards and withheld the truth from the American people. In doing so, they conspired to subvert the will of the American people who elected Donald Trump in that election in November of 2016. They worked with their partners in the media to promote this lie, ultimately to undermine the
Obama is far from the idealized figure of nostalgia that MSNBC portrays. He comes across as a skilled storyteller who used smoke and mirrors to build his political empire, leaving behind confusion, division, and a sense of betrayal. That's why Tulsi's critique lands so hard. She doesn't just debunk Obama's narrative, she forces America to confront the truth about him. Once that veil is lifted, there's no going back. To the political elite, Obama is cherished and protected like a museum exhibit, wrapped in bright lights and optimism, but Tulsi sees the reality, the waste, the flaws, and the hypocrisies. His story was built on illusion. He promised unity, hope, and transformation, but Tulsi exposes the consequences: Wall Street bailouts, drone strikes that killed civilians, mass surveillance, and a Democratic Party that lost touch with working class America. Though he ran as an anti-war candidate, Obama became a global interventionist, leaving Libya in ruins and making the Middle East more dangerous. Tulsi cuts through the branding to reveal the truth. He didn't start endless wars, he simply renamed them.
It was about control.
President Obama delivered the conclusion that he wanted the intelligence community to reach and directed them to find and essentially create and manufacture the intelligence to support the conclusion that President Obama wanted to deliver to the American people. Once that document was drafted, the deep state kicked into gear and did what they usually do. They started leaking this classified information out to their friends at the Washington Post and others who are working hand in glove with the deep state to lay the groundwork for the assessment that they eventually released that served as the basis, once again, for this years-long coup with the goal of trying to subvert the American people's will and usurp President Trump from being able to deliver on the mandate that the American people gave to him when...
Next comes Russiagate, the narrative chosen by the Democratic Party. Obama did more than watch it unfold. He created the conditions for it through an overreach of intelligence powers. The result was years of taxpayer-funded hysteria, a party trapped in its own conspiracy theories, and no meaningful resolution. Tulsi makes it clear, despite claims that the Democrats have moved on, Obama's fingerprints are all over the fiasco. As the media continues to glorify him, she highlights the reality. He did not hold bankers accountable for the 2008 financial crisis. Instead, they were rewarded. The American working class was left behind. He was no champion of civil liberties, cracking down on whistleblowers and expanding government surveillance. This was not bold optimism. It was hypocrisy in action. Obama portrayed himself as a unifying bridge between cultures, the great healer of divisions. Yet under his leadership, identity politics grew stronger, polarization deepened, and the Democratic Party became an exclusive playground for elites rather than a movement for the people.
The same assessment was made after Donald Trump was elected by the American people as president in 2016, defeating Hillary Clinton. And it wasn't until after that pulled President's Daily Brief document that you referenced that the Principals Committee was called in the National Security Council, and President Obama then directed Obama's DNI James Clapper to lead the effort to create this new intelligence community assessment that detailed not if, but how Moscow attempted to influence the outcome of the U.S.
Tulsi does not overlook Obama. She exposes how he turned celebration into a hollow machine, one so ineffective that it failed to stop Donald Trump, who remains in power. Next comes the legacy obsession. Like a filmmaker shaping the perfect ending, Obama has spent much of his post-presidency building an image. From Netflix partnerships to memoirs and international foundations, every move was designed to portray him as a thoughtful statesman above politics. Tulsi, however, dismantles that image completely. She doesn't measure leadership by streaming deals or book sales. She measures it by human impact. And the reality is harsh. Drone strikes killed civilians under his watch, whistleblowers were punished, and elites toasted a leader who prioritized branding over the well-being of ordinary Americans. Leadership became performance art. Unity was managed through marketing, corruption was institutionalized, and real division remained untouched. Her critique is not fueled by resentment or jealousy. It's grounded in truth. Instead of portraying Obama as a symbol or idol, Tulsi presents him as a politician who deceived the public and deepened national divisions. By the time she finishes, the halo is gone. The myth is shattered. What remains is the reality that the elites fear most. Obama, stripped of his image, revealed as a master of story and spectacle rather than substance.